far beneath the freezing waters of the Norwegian Sea. A Soviet submarine sank in 1989. It was called the K-278, a nuclear-powered submarine that went down with its secrets. For years, no one really knew what caused the disaster. But now, in 2025, scientists have finally solved the mystery, and the truth is far more terrifying than anyone expected. At first, people thought it was just another tragic accident from the Cold War era. The submarine had a fire. The crew tried to save it, but it sank. That's the story that was told for decades. But researchers recently uncovered documents, ran new scans of the wreck, and analyzed the radiation still leaking from the site. What they found has shocked even the experts. The K-278 wasn't just any submarine. It was one of the most advanced and secretive Soviet projects of its time, designed to dive deeper than any other submarine on Earth. Its titanium hull allowed it to go where no Western sub could follow. But the deeper the secrets, the darker the truth behind why it really sank. When scientists returned to the wreck with new technology, they expected to measure radiation and see how badly the submarine had corroded. Instead, they found strange evidence of an internal explosion, one that didn't match the official Soviet reports. The damage suggested something much more dangerous had been hidden on board. Whispers from old crew members had always hinted at classified weapons. But in 2025, investigators confirmed it. The Komsomolets was carrying experimental nuclear torpedoes, far more unstable than anyone ever imagined. These weapons weren't supposed to exist, and their presence on the sub means the disaster wasn't just an accident. It was a ticking time bomb. What makes it worse is that those weapons are still down there. Scientists discovered traces of radiation spreading into the sea, slowly leaking from the wreck over the decades. This means the sinking of K-278 wasn't only a Cold War tragedy. An ongoing environmental nightmare threatening marine life. Even today, one of the most chilling discoveries was the condition of the submarine's nuclear reactor. Despite being on the seafloor for over 30 years, it still contains dangerous amounts of radioactive material. Researchers say a sudden collapse or disturbance in the wreck could release catastrophic radiation into the ocean. Even scarier, sonar scans revealed that the wreck is not stable. Parts of the submarine are breaking apart, which means the clock is ticking. If the hull splits, the ocean could be contaminated on a scale we've never seen before in the Arctic. The Soviet Union tried to hide the full truth back in 1989. Survivors of the disaster were silenced, and official reports downplayed the danger. But now, with modern technology and undeniable proof, the world is finally facing the reality. The Komsomolets wasn't just a lost submarine. It was a nuclear disaster waiting to happen. And the really bad news? Experts say we may already be too late. Radiation is leaking, the wreck is collapsing, and the Arctic ecosystem is at risk. The K-278 mystery is no longer just history, it's a crisis unfolding right now. The new findings have shocked even the scientific community, because this isn't just about an old Soviet submarine anymore. It's about the health of the entire ocean. Marine biologists studying fish near the wreck site have reported unusual mutations, higher mortality rates, and rising levels of radiation in the food chain. This means the contamination is already making its way into the creatures people eat. Imagine eating seafood that carries invisible poison from a submarine that sank more than 3 decades ago. That's exactly the kind of nightmare experts fear is becoming reality. And yet, governments have been slow to act, because cleaning up a nuclear wreck 2 kilometers under the sea is one of the hardest missions in history. Scientists say the only way to stop this ticking bomb is to remove the reactor and the nuclear weapons from the ocean floor. But this would require deep-sea robots, specialized equipment, and billions of dollars. And here's the shocking part. Nobody wants to pay for it. Russia denies full responsibility, and other nations don't want to get involved in what they see as a Cold War relic. The mystery only deepened when some theories suggest a secret weapons test went wrong. If true, this would mean the disaster was caused by human recklessness, not just mechanical failure. Even more disturbing is the idea that Soviet engineers knew about the risks of carrying unstable nuclear weapons, but still allowed the submarine to set sail. If that's the case, then the 42 crew members who died weren't just victims of bad luck. They were victims of dangerous secrets and political ambition. But the real fear today? Isn't about what happened in 1989? It is about what could happen next. If the wreck breaks apart, experts warn of a radiation leak so severe it could contaminate parts of the North Atlantic. That would impact fishing industries, coastal towns, and even global trade routes. Local fishermen in Norway have already reported strange catches, with some fish showing odd growths and glowing patches on their skin. While these claims sound unbelievable, tests confirm that radiation levels near the wreck are rising each year. The haunting legacy of the Komsomolets is literally spreading through the sea. International pressure is now mounting on Russia to do something, but officials continue to deny the worst of the findings. They argue the radiation levels are within limits, but scientists disagree, saying the evidence is clear. The situation is getting worse, not better. What makes this even more chilling is that the K-278 Komsomolets, the only submarine wreck with nuclear weapons still inside. It's just the most dangerous one we know about. That means the ocean floor could be filled with ticking time bombs from the Cold War, each waiting for its own moment to collapse. The Komsomolets mystery was finally solved in 2025, but the answer isn't comforting. Instead of closing the book, it has opened a terrifying new chapter about the dangers still lurking beneath the waves. The question now is, will the world act before it's too late? For the families of the lost sailors, these revelations are heartbreaking. For decades, they were told their loved ones died in a tragic accident. Nothing more. Now they know the truth. Those men were sent to sea on a vessel carrying weapons that should never have been there, and their sacrifice was buried under layers of lies. Survivors who managed to escape the sinking sub have also spoken out in recent years. Some say they always suspected something more was on board, but were too afraid to talk. The Soviet Navy kept them silent. And for years they carried the heavy burden of knowing there was more to the story than the world was told. Meanwhile, environmental groups are sounding the alarm louder than ever. They warn that if international leaders continue to ignore this crisis, the Arctic could become one of the most radioactive zones on Earth. The cold waters may slow the spread, but they cannot stop it forever. Experts are now calling the Komsomolets not just a disaster of the past, but a threat to the future. It's proof that the Cold War's shadow is still with us, silently poisoning the sea decades after the political battles ended. The submarine is like a ghost from history, refusing to stay buried. The scariest part is how little control humans really have in this situation. The wreck lies over 5,000 feet below the surface, where pressure is crushing and temperatures are freezing. Sending divers is impossible, and even machines struggle to survive in those depths. This makes any rescue or cleanup effort a monumental challenge. Still, some scientists argue that doing nothing is far worse. Every year, the submarine corrodes more. Every year, radiation leaks further. The longer the world waits, the greater the chance of a catastrophic release. The clock is ticking, and no one knows when time will run out. Some have compared the K-278 to Chernobyl, except this nuclear disaster is hidden under the sea, out of sight and harder to contain. Unlike Chernobyl, there are no walls to build, no exclusion zones to enforce. If the Komsomolets releases its full load of radiation, the ocean will carry it across borders and continents. The truth revealed in 2025 should have sparked urgent action, but instead it has sparked debates, excuses, and finger-pointing. Meanwhile, the submarine sits in silence, waiting. It is a reminder that secrets don't stay buried forever, and the cost of ignoring them only grows with time. For now, scientists continue to monitor the wreck, hoping for more answers, but they admit there is little they can do without political will. The Komsomolets remains a deadly reminder that the ocean floor holds more than mysteries. It holds dangers that could change the future of our planet. In the end, the Soviet K-278 mystery was solved, but the solution was far worse than the question. The wreck is not just history, it's a warning. A warning that human ambition, secrets, and negligence can leave behind threats that last for generations. And unless the world acts soon, the shadow of this submarine will haunt the seas for centuries to come.